then that kind of brings us to this. Great photography. Was this Art Andrews?
No, this is a New England Garrison member, was the photographer, Bill Hicks.
Okay, Bill Hicks, who did some wonderful photography. So this is kind of where we ended up. This actually is Brian here. This is his tune style armor project. And so again, specifically, 501st said that we are going to accept clone troopers executed in a style consistent with the computer-generated series. And that was really in relation to the film that came out, the feature film, but of course that extends to the animated series. So Brian, I'm going to kind of turn this over to you at this point to talk about basic clone troopers and some of the build techniques that really apply to almost any costume that you make for the 501st, including other bounty hunter costumes or even the standard stormtroopers that you've seen. So, Brian?
All right, so one of the things that was really challenging about the clone troopers was that there's no physical reference for them. With the stormtroopers, Boba Fett, and characters like that we do, we can look at the originals, we can see a person in the suit. With the Clone Wars, they've never physically existed until we brought them into life. So we have this sort of debate of what do we do with the things from the show that are just impossible. Go on one more. Just like tap, tap, tap. So we've got a various collection of things we can use. We've got statues that companies have produced, we've got webcomics, one more tap. We've got renders from the show. On the top corner here, you can see one of our members who's actually tracing a screen capture in a CAD program so he can create his own model off of a render from the show. So there's all different approaches we can take to get our reference. And what it comes down to, though, is if you look at the clones in the show, their bodies aren't like ours. Much as I would like to be 6 foot tall with a waist that was up here, it's just not going to happen for me. So here you have a picture of me standing next to a CG model of Rex in the same pose. Particularly, note the waistline. So our feet are at the same place, our head are at the same place, our shoulders are at the same place. But his waist is way up there, and his knees are way up there. So I had to try to figure out when I was doing this, how can I capture the look of the suit while keeping my own body the way that it is? And
plastic surgery wasn't enough. I was going to say, you weren't going to go for some
I had considered extending my shins and moving my hips up, but that was just cost prohibitive, so I had to go with plan B. And another example here, we've got one of our troopers who used the existing clone trooper armor that we've already been making our suits out of, and he painted it up to look like the CG model. But again, you can see, they're roughly the same height in this picture, but the waistline is very different, and the lower legs are very different. So there are a lot of challenges to it. And we've got a pretty impressive set of tools at our disposal now. We've got a lot of experience making costumes now. So what do we do to adapt that? We've got rotocasting, which is pouring a liquid into a mold and sloshing it around until it becomes solid. There's vacuum forming, heating up plastic and stretching it down over a mold. One of the newer things that's coming out is called Pepakura, which is taking a 3D model and creating a flat version of it that can be cut out and then reassembled. So you can kind of rebuild the models the same way they're done in the show. We've got leather working, there's painting, there's weathering. So we're kind of taking our existing tool set and applying it to a whole new challenge. So the approach that I took to building the armor was in that first picture, you can see the drawing that I did. It's hard to tell up on the projector, but the way I did it was I laid my arm out on the paper, traced my arm, and then drew the armor around it to get as close to those proportions as I could while knowing that it would still fit me. I basically went through that same process with my entire body with the help of some friends who, hey, can you come over and trace my belly on this piece of paper? So that's all.
They were very close personal friends. At least they were afterwards.
So I laid out all the pieces like that, and you can see all these horizontal lines. The method that I chose to make it out of was to use MDF, which is a particle board. And so I took my drawing and I made 3/4 inch cross sections, because that's the thickness of the wood. And then I cut it up and shaped it all out like that. You can go on to the next one. So glue it all together, sand it smooth, then apply every costumer's favorite thing, Bondo. Spread it out nice and smooth, get it flat. On the bottom there, you can see where I cut the groove for the beginning of the elbow. Go on to the next one. You know, clamping together the pieces, gluing them on. You can see the elbow building up. You know, the forearm is almost complete. To the next. You know, there's the final sort of master sculpt and a picture of me wearing the first forearm that I did. So that was really exciting to me because that was the first time anyone had made animated armor of any sort. So, you know, now I didn't have anything else for the suit, but I had a finished painted Rex forearm. So I was, you know, like 0.5% down the road to completing the suit. The whole thing took me about a little over a year to sculpt it, you know, pull the parts and assemble it. So for the next slide, we're actually going to show a video of the armor making process. About clone armor. And it says there, you know, what you saw there, just do it 17 more times and you have a full kit of clone. So that's kind of the process that I go through. Now, one of our other members, Kevin Weir, who was not able to be here, little did either of us know, we were simultaneously working on the same projects, me in Massachusetts and him in California. So while I'm working on all mine, he's doing an animated costume out there as well. And his approach to it, you can see in the top corner there, he drew out the helmet on cardboard and basically made a cardboard 3D model that he could put together, filled it in with blocks of floral foam, carved the shape in it, skinned it with, I think he used Mod Podge, which is a craft material that just seals the foam, coat it in Bondo, sand it, paint it, and when you get to that point, it's really Bondo, sand, paint, over and over again for 10, 12 times, however it takes to get it really mirror smooth. And down in the corner, you can see his take on the animated foam helmet. And the helmet is really one of the most problematic parts for us because their heads are really skinny and really tall. So we have to try to figure out how to play with proportions and mess around with the depth of indent on the cheeks and the height and the diameter to try to get as close to that look as we can while still actually being able to fit our heads in it. And the results, if someone could turn up the lights in the room, you can look around and you see animated clones all over the room. We've got a couple of our friends who couldn't be here are coming in remotely from San Diego Comic-Con. But our troopers here, we've got 3D manifestations of these animated clones. And despite the fact that our bodies don't look like theirs, our anatomy is completely different, you can see it comes off very well. These troopers out here, they're very imposing looking. They really capture the feeling of the show. So, I'm really impressed at how we've been able to kind of take this weird stylized look and really bring it to life and make it believable. So that was my personal mission for about 1.5 years, 2 years. And of course, because I'm smart, as soon as I finished that, I moved on to the next one, which I'm wearing here, which is Pre-Vizsla, also from the Clone Troopers, or the Clone Wars series. This is my latest project. This is the first time I've worn this suit. And it's another case of, he's 7 foot tall with an 18-inch waist and 6 foot long arms. So, what do I do about getting that to actually work? So it's, every new episode they introduce new characters and give us new things to build. So that's kind of awesome and kind of scary all at once.
Thank you, Brian.